Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is Saturday, April 15th, 2023. Lance Brock here. Hope everyone is having a great Saturday morning and is ready to talk some pro wrestling this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I was hoping today to talk about the WWE brand split, I guess you could say, with the draft coming up this year. And since they have now announced the date officially for the 2023 draft, it will be April 28th will be the first night of it anyway, starting with SmackDown on Fox, and then we'll wrap up on Raw the following Monday. That's how they've been doing it the last few years between Raw and SmackDown. And this morning I just want to talk about the whole brand split thing. I admit that I do like the idea of the brand split, having Raw and SmackDown as two separate shows, two separate brands. But the only thing is, WWE always has a hard time sticking to it. They might do it for a while where they do keep the two shows separate, but then they end up always thinking of something like the whole wild card thing and or talent exchange or whatever they want to call it, where Raw talent can appear on SmackDown and the other way around. And then it just kind of, and then all of a sudden wrestlers from one show start appearing on the other for no reason anyway. And then in some cases they act like that can't happen. With not too long ago, with Dominic, when he first turned on Rey, they had Rey Mysterio, where first he was going to quit WWE, and then Triple H just talked him into moving over to SmackDown to get away from his son. But at the time, they were having where Raw talent would appear on SmackDown anyway, so that right there didn't really make too much sense. But like I said though, I think the draft episodes of TV they usually do are usually pretty good, and I have enjoyed some of the drafts in the past. And they say, or at least in the past they have said, that the talent isn't told about the drafts until they happen. One of the famous times of that happening are when they decided to do a commentary switch during the draft, and they had Jim Ross go from Raw, who was on there for a lot of years, obviously, with Jerry the King Lawler, and then they drafted Michael Cole over to Raw. Jim Ross has said before that he did not know about that, and when you were even watching the show, you could tell that he was a little upset about it, not too happy about it. And some of the wrestlers as well have said that they were not informed about any of the draft picks or what show they were going to. And at one time, there was even 3 brands when the WWE version of ECW was around. And now you really don't have three brands, but it will be interesting. Sometimes they have where NXT talent is eligible to be drafted by either Raw or SmackDown. Some of the people down there that they might want to call up to the main roster. This year, though, they did no call-ups after the night after WrestleMania on Raw. In years past, they have the night after WrestleMania, and sometimes even the SmackDown after WrestleMania. They decided to bring up some names from NXT on either that Raw after Mania or the SmackDown after Mania. But this year we did not get any call-ups. So maybe they might have either Raw or SmackDown draft a name or two from the NXT roster. One, I think, right away, the first one I would think of that could be called up is Bron Breakker. And I don't know if they're going to have him feud over the NXT Championship anymore after turning heel. But we will have to see about that. But I think right now he could definitely be effective on either Raw or SmackDown, either as a babyface or a heel. I would say probably just starting him up on the main roster, probably a babyface, which wouldn't really make much sense. But not that that really means anything. They've had, they brought up guys from NXT and then changed their character around since Raw, SmackDown had the bigger audience. I'm sure they probably won't mention his father any now. Like, of course they have mentioned on NXT, and he was even involved in an angle at one time being kidnapped. So I don't see any mentions of his father if he is called up to a main roster. Not anytime soon anyway. But hopefully this year's draft will be pretty good. Maybe they'll keep the shows more separate and stick to it this time. Let me know in the comment section, right, either here on Spreaker or wherever you are listening to this episode of GMWF. What do you think about the draft? Are you a fan of the brand split still? Do you think they'll make some good rosters for each Raw and SmackDown? Also, do you have any predictions of any of the draft picks that they will do this year? Let me know in the comment section what you think's going to go down April 28th, the 2023 WWE Draft. So that is all for this episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans on this Saturday morning. Thank you everyone for listening. Hope to have more episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic coming at you, and we'll be back tomorrow morning for the Sunday episode of Good Morning Wrestling Fans. And as of right now, the plan is to go down the card of Impact Wrestling Rebellion tomorrow night on pay-per-view. Go down the card, discuss each match, and then hopefully tomorrow night we'll have an episode of Wrestling Fanatic going over the pay-per-view right now definitely looks like it should be a very good show. And once again, thank you for listening this morning. Until tomorrow, keep watching pro wrestling.